The morning of 22 October 2018, a father was walking along Wangeti Beach, a remote stretch on the coast of Far North Queensland, about 40 kilometers north of Cairns. He was searching for his daughter. She had come here the day before to walk a dog and had never returned. He walked step by step across the sand. No voices, no one around, just the waves and the wind. Then he saw his daughter's car, still parked there. He kept walking, and about 80 meters from the car, he saw something no father should ever have to see. Her dog was still alive, tied to a nearby tree, waiting. But the dog's owner would never be coming back, and the man responsible boarded a flight out of Australia that very same day. It would take 7 years, a $1 million reward, an extradition from India, and 2 trials before justice was finally served. The evening of 21 October 2018, the family of Toyah Cordingley, 24, from the Cairns area, began to worry. She had gone to Wangeti Beach to walk her dog, as she had many times before, but by evening, she still hadn't returned home. The family waited. They tried to reach her, but there was no response. Early on the morning of 22 October, Toyah's father decided to drive to the beach himself to look for her. He found his daughter's car still parked at the beach, but she was nowhere to be seen. He kept walking, step by step, along the quiet, empty sand, and then he stopped. About 80 meters from his daughter's car, there was something in the dunes, half buried, half exposed. He moved closer, and he recognized it, something more familiar to him than anything else in the world. It was his daughter. An emergency call was made straight after. Queensland police were immediately dispatched to Wangeti Beach. On arrival, they confirmed this was not an accident, nor was it a natural cause. Police described it as a personal and intimate attack, and formally opened an urgent criminal investigation. As soon as this was confirmed as a criminal case, Queensland police immediately dispatched officers to Wangeti Beach and the surrounding areas. This is a remote beach, no security cameras, not many people passing through. That meant there were no direct witnesses, and the person responsible knew that. Police began combing the entire area. They checked the roads leading to the beach, searching for dashcam and security camera footage from vehicles and premises nearby. They also began gathering information about who had been at Wangeti Beach on 21 October, who arrived, who left, and who had been seen in the area. This was the early stage of the investigation, when nothing was yet clear, and no one knew which piece would lead to the answer. But that answer was closer than they thought. Wangeti Beach was completely sealed off. The entire area, from the sand to the access trails, was tightly controlled. No one was permitted access except the investigation team. Toyah's car was preserved intact as key evidence, its position, condition, and every trace around it documented in detail. And Toyah's dog, still tied to the tree, still alive, became a particular detail in this case. The dog was unharmed. That meant the person responsible had had enough time and composure to carry out what he did, not rushed, not in a panic. And afterward, he left while the dog sat there waiting for its owner. This is a remote beach. No one came to help Toyah, and the person responsible knew that when he chose this location, the crime scene examination team worked meticulously across every meter of sand at Wangeti Beach. Every location, every trace, every object was documented, photographed, and collected under strict procedure. In a coastal environment where wind and tide can erase evidence quickly, this was work that demanded both speed and precision, and the examination team found something the person responsible didn't know he had left behind. On a stick found at the scene, there was a biological trace. The sample was sent for DNA analysis. The results became the most important piece of evidence in the entire case. That DNA trace was 3.8 billion times more likely to belong to one specific person than to any random person in the community. This is one of the strongest pieces of DNA evidence ever recorded in a criminal case in Australia. Alongside this, Toyah Cordingley's body was taken to a forensic facility. The examination confirmed Toyah died from a direct attack, not an accident, not natural causes. This was a deliberate attack, carried out on a remote beach where no one could hear or see. With DNA evidence in hand and information gathered from the area search, Queensland Police began narrowing down who might be connected. They tracked down everyone who had been at Wangetti Beach on 21 October through dashcam footage, security cameras along the access roads, and statements from local residents. One name emerged: Rajwinder Singh, a nurse at Innisfail Hospital, living in Innisfail, about an hour's drive south of Cairns. Police went to question Singh, but Singh was no longer in Australia. He had quit his job at Innisfail Hospital right after Toyah's body was found, without notice, without explanation, and he had boarded a flight out of Australia. Rajwinder Singh flew to India, his home country, on 22 October 2018, immediately after Toyah's body was found. That act, abruptly quitting his job and leaving the country right after the body was discovered, would become one of the most important pieces of circumstantial evidence police would later rely on. He left everything behind: his job at Innisfail Hospital, his wife, 3 children, and his parents living in Innisfail, without saying goodbye to any of them. Justice Lincoln Crowley would later speak plainly about this. "You left without even a proper goodbye to your wife, parents, and children, showing that your only concern was to save yourself, regardless of the consequences for your family." Queensland Police identified Singh as the primary suspect and issued an international arrest warrant. But India has no straightforward extradition treaty with Australia, and bringing Singh home would be a long and complex legal process. Singh disappeared into a life in India, while Toyah Cordingley's family began a wait with no end in sight. In the 4 years after Singh fled, Queensland Police did not give up. They kept investigating, kept building the case, and kept working to bring Singh back to Australia through diplomatic and legal channels. But Singh remained in India, free. Toyah's family lived through that waiting, knowing who had done this to their daughter, but unable to do anything beyond trusting the legal system. In late 2022, Queensland Police decided to take an unprecedented step in the state's history. On 22 November 2022, a $1 million reward was announced for information leading to the location and arrest of Rajwinder Singh. This was the largest reward ever offered in Queensland's history, and one of the largest ever offered in Australian legal history. The message was clear: Queensland Police would never give up on this case, and that message worked. Just weeks after the $1 million reward was announced, information leading to Singh began coming in. November 2022, Rajwinder Singh was arrested in New Delhi, India, after almost 4.5 years on the run. The full $1 million reward was paid out to a number of people who provided information. Queensland Police did not reveal the identities of those who received the reward, only confirming it had been paid in full. In early 2023, Singh agreed to extradition to Australia. March 2023, almost 5 years after Toyah Cordingley's death, Rajwinder Singh returned to Australian soil and was formally charged with murder. During questioning, Singh presented his account. He claimed that on 21 October 2018, he had been at Wangetti Beach, but had witnessed masked attackers assault Toyah. He claimed he fled because he feared for his own life, and that, he said, was why he left Australia, not out of guilt, but out of fear. That account of masked attackers on a remote beach in Far North Queensland would become the central point of dispute in the 2 trials that followed. Toyah Cordingley, 24, lived in the Cairns area, Far North Queensland. She was an animal lover, a volunteer at an animal rescue shelter, where she spent her time outside of work caring for animals in need. She also worked at a local organic food store. Those who knew Toyah described her as gentle, humble, and loving, a young woman living her life in the simplest and most genuine way. She loved nature, she loved animals, and she often took her dog to Wangetti Beach, a remote but beautiful beach where she could walk in peace. On 21 October 2018, she did what she often did. Toyah's death sent a wave of grief across the Far North Queensland community and all of Australia. A young woman who loved animals, volunteered, lived simply, was attacked on a beach by a complete stranger. No reason, no warning, no chance to protect herself. Rajwinder Singh, born in Punjab, India, was a nurse working at Innisfail Hospital, a small hospital in the town of Innisfail, about an hour's drive south of Cairns. He had settled in Australia with his wife and 3 children. His parents also lived in Innisfail. No prior convictions. No recorded history of violence. He was a healthcare worker, someone whose everyday job was caring for the sick. No one knew of any connection between Singh and Toyah Cordingley. The two were complete strangers, no relationship, no prior acquaintance. And that is exactly what makes this case so frightening. Toyah didn't know this man. She had no reason to be wary of him. There were no warning signs beforehand. This is not a story about a broken relationship or a long-running conflict. This is a story about a woman who went to the beach and encountered something no one could have predicted. Singh's true motive, why he did this, has never been officially established. Justice Crowley acknowledged Singh's motive had not been formally determined, but suggested it was possible Toyah may have come across Singh doing something at that remote beach. No direct witness saw what happened at Wangetti Beach on 21 October 2018, and Singh, throughout both trials, never admitted to what actually occurred. But from the forensic evidence, the DNA, and the facts established in court, a picture of what happened gradually came into view. Toyah Cordingley went to Wangetti Beach on 21 October 2018 to walk her dog, as was her habit. The beach was remote, with few people passing through. Singh was also in the area that same day, a fact confirmed by evidence and not disputed. At the beach, Singh attacked Toyah. She had no chance to defend herself or escape. After Toyah died, Singh buried her body in the dunes, half exposed, about 80 meters from her car. He tied her dog to a nearby tree, then he left, and the very next morning, when the body was found, he boarded a flight out of Australia. At trial, Singh claimed he witnessed masked attackers assault Toyah and fled out of fear. The jury at the retrial rejected this account entirely after 7 hours of deliberation. The case file was built from multiple layers of evidence, and when placed together, they formed a picture with no gaps. First, DNA. The DNA analysis from the scene confirmed Singh was directly connected to the case, with a probability forensic experts described as near certain. Second, the act of fleeing. Singh quit his job and left Australia on the very day the body was found, leaving behind his wife, children, and parents without a goodbye. This is the behavior of someone who knew exactly what he was running from. Third, evidence placing Singh at the scene. Other evidence confirmed Singh was in the Wangetti Beach area on 21 October 2018. Fourth, an inconsistent account. The story of masked attackers that Singh presented had no supporting evidence whatsoever and was entirely rejected by the jury. The Queensland Office of the Director of Public Prosecutions charged Singh over Toyah Cordingley's death and brought the case to trial at the Cairns Supreme Court. Rajwinder Singh's first trial took place in 2025 at the Cairns Supreme Court. Singh pleaded not guilty. The prosecution presented the full case, the DNA evidence, the act of fleeing, and other facts confirming Singh was at Wangetti Beach on the day of the incident. The defense argued the circumstantial evidence was not enough to convict, and that Singh's account of masked attackers could not be entirely ruled out. Toyah's family were present in the courtroom, waiting for an answer they had waited years for. But the first trial ended with something the family did not want to hear. The jury could not reach agreement. A hung jury. No verdict. A retrial was required. Toyah's family had to keep waiting, once again. The retrial began and ran for 4 weeks at the Cairns Supreme Court. Singh again pleaded not guilty, and this time his account was presented in greater detail. He claimed that on 21 October at Wangetti Beach, he witnessed masked attackers assault Toyah and fled because he feared he would be killed. That, he said, was why he left Australia the following day. The prosecution challenged every point of that account. They asked, if Singh was innocent and fled out of fear, why didn't he report it to police? Why didn't he tell his wife or his parents? Why did he stay silent for 4 years? The DNA evidence, 3.8 billion times, was presented to the jury, along with the entire timeline of his flight and the inconsistencies in Singh's account. The jury retired to deliberate. After 7 hours of deliberation, the jury returned to the courtroom. The verdict, unanimously guilty. Toyah Cordingley's family had waited 7 years for this. The very next day, 9 December 2025, Justice Lincoln Crowley handed down the sentence. Rajwinder Singh was sentenced to life imprisonment, minimum non-parole period, 25 years, higher than the mandatory minimum of 20 years sought by the prosecution. Earliest possible parole, March 2048, when Singh will be 63. Place of custody, Woolston Correctional Centre, a high-security prison on the outskirts of Brisbane. Justice Crowley called Singh a gutless coward. You left without even a proper goodbye to your wife, parents and children, showing that your only concern was to save yourself, regardless of the consequences for your family. Your actions reveal something about the selfish and callous person you truly are. Appeal. On 8 January 2026, Singh lodged an appeal against both the conviction and the sentence. The appeal remains under consideration. The Toyah Cordingley case is not a story about a broken relationship or a long-running conflict. It is a story about a woman who went to the beach and was attacked by a complete stranger. That means the lesson from this case is not just for women, it is for everyone, regardless of gender or age. The first lesson: isolated places carry risks we cannot always anticipate. One Getty Beach is beautiful but remote. Few people pass through, no cameras, no one who could hear or see if something happened. When heading to isolated places, whether a beach, a trail, or a park, let a loved one know where you're going and when you expect to be back. A simple message could make a huge difference if something goes wrong. The second lesson: trust the feeling of being unsafe. If you're somewhere and you feel unsafe, even without a clear reason, leave. Don't try to explain it away or ignore it. Self-protective instinct is one of the most valuable things we have. The third lesson: justice can arrive late, but it is never abandoned. The Toyah Cordingley case took 7 years. There was a hung jury. There was an international extradition. There were 2 trials. But in the end, justice was served. That didn't happen on its own. It was the result of the persistence of Queensland Police, of Toyah's family, and of a community that refused to let this story be forgotten over those 7 years. Toyah Cordingley died at the age of 24. Her dog was found still alive, tied to a tree, waiting for its owner. That is an image many will never forget when they think of this case. Rajwinder Singh will not be eligible for release before March 2048. He will be 63 years old by then. Toyah Cordingley will forever be 24. And there are 2 questions this case leaves behind. We want to hear your thoughts. The first question: what was Singh's true motive? Why did a man with no prior convictions, a family, a stable job, attack a complete stranger on a remote beach? The judge acknowledged the motive was never established. So in your view, what happened at One Getty Beach that day? The second question: is a 25-year non-parole sentence enough? And Singh's appeal, could it change the outcome? Leave your thoughts in the comments below. I read all of them. If you or someone you know needs support, call now. In Australia, emergency 000 24/7 domestic violence support. 1-800-RESPECT on 1-800-737-732. Crisis mental health support. Lifeline on 13 11 14. Crime Australia, HT produces this content for the purpose of informing and educating the community. We condemn all forms of violence. All information presented is based on court records and verified news sources.